Hillary Clinton continues to try to reach out to some of the young voters that voted for Bernie Sanders, but still kind of seem to refuse to vote for her. And one of the ways that she's done it is not only through social media strategies, but she had a town hall with some famous YouTubers in Hollywood recently. And the person moderating this town hall was one of my personal YouTube favorites, Dulce Candy. Dulce Ruiz is her real name. And look, a lot of times when YouTube celebrities get involved in the political arena, it's because they're going to ask softball questions. But I actually have to give a lot of these people credit because they did ask difficult questions. The only issue is, since they're not journalists, a lot of these people are entertainers on YouTube. They don't ask follow-up questions, right? So it was still very convenient for Hillary Clinton to be interviewed by them. But anyway, I want you guys to judge for yourselves. It was an hour-long town hall, but here's one of the questions that Dulce Candy asked Hillary Clinton that I thought was a good one. Take a look.
My name is Dulce Candy, and I immigrated here to the United States back in 1994 with my mom and my younger sisters. Since then, I am really proud to say that I served in the U.S. Army. I also completed a 15-month tour in Iraq. And, yeah. And since then, I've become a citizen. I'm also an entrepreneur, a wife, and a really proud mom. So, thank you. The Supreme Court ruling last week determined that 5 million immigrants, mothers and fathers living here in the United States, might be separated from their families. Many people in my community have reached out to ask President, what are you going to do to tackle this issue and make sure that it's fixed once and for all?
So we're going to go to her answer in just a second. But I thought that was actually a really good question. And they asked about student loan debt. They asked about a lot of the issues that impact, the young voters that she wants to reach out to. A lot of the answers were vague, not specific, and went unchallenged.
By the way, Shauna Malcolm apparently asked about student loan debt, and she appears on a lot of the TYT network shows, super proud of her. Jacqueline Glenn also appears on TYT shows, an atheist, super proud of her, asked good questions. So the questions were great. I loved Whitney White's question, we're going to get to in a second, but let's let you listen to Hillary Clinton's answer.
I will do everything I can to make the case that what President Obama did was legal, was precedented. Presidents before him made all kinds of decisions about who, although undocumented, could stay or who should be deported. I think the people who should be deported are people who are violent, who pose a real threat to others. I think everybody else we should put on a path to citizenship through comprehensive immigration reform. So I have said I'm going to introduce that. My first 100 days as president, it's not only the right thing to do, but it is who we are. We are a nation of immigrants.
Yeah, that's not a great answer if you ask me, because President Obama, if you don't know, broke the record for a number of people deported. Over 2 million people deported, way more than George W. Bush, Ronald Reagan. And so Democrats come in and talk a good game about immigration, and then they wind up breaking records on deportation. And her, the beginning of her answer is, I'm going to follow Obama's policies. That doesn't give me a lot of comfort.
Right. And a lot of her answers were not specific in terms of how she'll tackle these issues policy-wise. When it came to student loan debt, of course, I wasn't happy with her answer. And even if she did get into the specifics on how she wants to tackle student loan debt, I know her policy, and her policy is not that great. Her policy is debt forgiveness after 20-some years, but you're going to have to report that as taxable income. So again, if you are hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt, and you don't have the money to pay 30% of that in the form of taxes, well, then you're kind of screwed with the IRS. So it doesn't really solve the debt problem very well. But anyway, that's beside the point. The biggest issue I had with all of this was that, again, Hillary Clinton misses the mark in how to reach out to the young voters that support Bernie Sanders. It's not about how many YouTube celebrities you know. It's not about who you're rubbing elbows with. Okay, after this town hall, Clinton's schedule on Tuesday also included a fundraiser at Sean Parker's house and a $33,400 per couple dinner benefiting the Hillary Victory Fund. Like, that's the kind of stuff that turns off not just young voters, by the way, a lot of the people who supported Bernie Sanders, right? They want a politician that represents them, not a politician that represents the wealthy and only the wealthy. By the way, one other thing I wanted to mention is 55% of Bernie Sanders supporters, according to a Bloomberg poll, are willing to vote for Hillary Clinton. The rest, they don't want to vote for Hillary Clinton, okay? Some of them want to vote for Trump. Some of them want to vote for Jill Stein or abstain from voting altogether. And the only way that you can reach out to them is if you meet Bernie Sanders in the very least halfway when it comes to his policy ideas. But she's not willing to do that. She's being defiant, and she's playing traditional politics where Bernie Sanders is the one who's forced to push his supporters toward you. No, it's not going to work that way. You need to reach out to them.
So she probably thought going to Sean Parker's house and raising $33,000 per couple was like a hip thing to do. You know, Justin Timberlake played him in a movie. No, that's not what really we were going for. So again, I want to give credit to the people who asked the questions, and I'm going to give you one more. Whitney White, she brought up the super predator comment. Now, in a setting that's supposed to be relatively safe for a candidate, for Whitney White to do that, great job. And she followed up, said, what are your concrete plans to win back the trust of Black America? As you know and respectfully have been involved in systematically, racism is a real problem. So then Hillary Clinton went on to say, you're right, systematic racism is a real problem and we're going to fix it. But no, you missed the point of the question. The point of the question was that you were involved in systematic racism.
Her answer was actually worse than that, because she pivoted toward the fact that the Black community overwhelmingly supported her over Bernie.
That's almost a way of saying, ha ha, I got your support anyway.
Yeah.
But you know, you're not talking to older voters, you're talking to younger voters. And so younger voters got educated online, so they know the reality. The older voters might not, both white and black, might not know the super predator line, but younger voters are far better educated. A lot of them know that you called young African Americans super predators and said they need to be brought to heel. So I love that that question came up. So credit to the YouTube stars. By the way, asking in a lot of ways much tougher questions than the mainstream media. Almost no one in the mainstream media has asked about the super predator line.
That's right.
It got brought up one tiny little time, and then they were like, okay, sorry, I didn't mean to offend power. Here, you know, young people unabashed doing the right thing. But ultimately, I agree with Anna. This is her effort to appear to reach out without actually doing the hard work of reaching out through policy.
Exactly.
And since those younger voters are much better educated about policy, I'm not sure that this is a winning strategy. I don't blame them for doing it. I get that the Hillary campaign is going to want to reach out to really influential young stars. It's not a bad strategy. It's a good strategy. But you need to go a little deeper if you want it to actually work.